driving to the Amtrak station. I commuted every day from Wilmington, Delaware to Washington, D.C. I'd get to know the train engineers, the conductors, the fellow passengers. How many miles I've traveled in Amtrak? Over 2,100,000 miles. I took the train every day. The Senate was in session for 36 years.
The hearing will come to order.
In the night, I'd see the pinpoints of lights in the homes, in the cities and towns. Can these parents look their kids in the eye and say, honey, everything's going to be okay?
The Bidens will launch a train tour.
An Amtrak train, Biden Build Back Better train tour.
And welcome back to Ohio, Joe Biden.
It's been so hard on our kids with their dad being 8 hours away. There are times the kids break down. My husband lost his job. He had to transfer to Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is 8 hours from here. How can he be that far away? And you see him for like 16 hours on the weekend. It's really tough. It's tough on all of us, our whole family.
When I read online about Joe Biden commuting from Delaware, it reminded me a lot of the drive back and forth that I've had to do going from Bowling Green back to Lordstown. And he went through the same thing to make it home to his kids.
I do love what Joe Biden says about the dignity of work. All work has dignity. How many people think about janitors, right? The most I had ever made was $9.50. I became involved in union labor. So I go into the boss's office, right? And I'm like, you made a mistake. This is $12 an hour. And he looked at me and said, you're in the union.
You are literally, not figuratively, the backbone of America. You're the ones who actually built this country. Ordinary, hard-working people, the middle class built America. And unions built the middle class.
If it wasn't for the union, I know one thing, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here today. I know he's going to back union labor, and I think that's most important during this election.
Joe Biden is good for Johnstown because he'll protect our labor laws and our union rights.
Job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to hold your head up. Like millions of hardworking Americans, they're not looking for a handout. They're just looking for a fair shot. By the way, that's a good thing. It's still running. I see the world from where I grew up in Scranton. I think this whole campaign gets down to Park Avenue versus Scranton, Park Avenue versus Johnstown. So I promise you this, I see you. I hear you. I respect you. I grew up with you. I promise you this. I'll fight for you.
Yes. We are back for another live show Friday night, March 3rd, 2023. Welcome back to the Opinionated YouTube channel. It's all right, guys. Joe's going to fix it. Remember, Joe's going to fix those railways. He rode those railways back and forth for 30, 40 years, guys. He's going to invest in those railways. That was his campaign, remember? Look at, he announced over $368 million in grants to improve the railway infrastructure. That was Joe's plan. That was Joe's plan. But I know. It was Trump. It was the deregulation. It was the braking systems. No, probably has a lot to do with the tracks in that area. And unfortunately, I couldn't find the video of it. But the tracks are pretty treacherous out in East Palestine, Ohio, probably one of the corridors to the east and west in that area. But remember, old Joe, that's what he was going to do. He announced it. That was his thing, to invest in America, How's everybody doing this evening? How is everybody doing this evening? Let's see if we can pull a couple of more people in to watch this evening, but I have a lot to get into about the handling of East Palestine. I am pissed at this administration. I am pissed at the way this is being handled. I am pissed at the way that people are being ignored in East Palestine. It is a fucking shit show out there, and someone needs to answer for it. And we definitely know it's not going to be this administration. Well, maybe they'll get around to it. When I get over there, I got other things going on. Maybe, after I take care of a few things. Oh, that's right. I had a visit to do in Ukraine.
We're learning today the extraordinary planning that went into President Biden's secret trip to war-torn Ukraine.
It was a visit
Not East Palestine, Ukraine, to go give another check for, I think, $500 million to keep funding the war over there. And by this time, FEMA hadn't even been sent to East Palestine. Oh, because they didn't qualify. But we're going to get a little bit more into that as well, too. So let's keep playing through this.
In secrecy, to say the least.
There was no hint of the drama to come when the president was seen enjoying date night with the First Lady at a D.C. restaurant Saturday night. 8 hours later, at 3:30 a.m. Sunday morning, the president slipped out of the White House under cover of darkness, taking off not on Air Force One, but a smaller plane at 4:15, with just 2 reporters on board, sworn to secrecy.
They had to surrender their phones at Joint Base Andrews when they met the plane yesterday morning.
The White House even published a fake schedule showing the president at work in the Oval Office when he was actually in the air on his way to Ukraine, accompanied by just 3 aides.
Typically, the president can take over a dozen staffers with him somewhere, a huge security contingent, but we are now learning that he went with a small medical staff, a photographer, only a handful of staffers were there with him.
All told, it was a 20-hour odyssey for the 80-year-old Biden. But he sure looked fresh as he was greeted by Ukraine's President Zelensky and his wife. We spoke to CNN's Clarissa Ward, who is in Kyiv. Can you tell me how you heard that the president was arriving and what was your reaction?
As the moment got closer, we actually had soldiers arriving in the hotel telling us that we couldn't be out on balconies like these ones, that we had to point our cameras away from the street, that we couldn't shoot any live reports.
By the way, the famed foreign correspondent is 6 months pregnant. What is it like to be in a war zone 6 months pregnant?
When I look at Ukrainian women and see them getting...
How is it over there? You're pregnant. It's a war zone. Media loves war. They love it. Mainstream media, look how happy he was. Hey, tell us how it is. Let's go back. Listen.
Pregnant. What is it like to be in a war zone 6 months pregnant?
When I look at Ukrainian women and see them getting pregnant, having babies every day, that really gave me the inspiration. And knowing that there's good medical care around here should anything happen also gave me a degree of comfort.
The two leaders didn't flinch when an air raid siren rang out as they crossed Kyiv's central square to lay wreaths at a monument to the thousands of soldiers killed in the war.
The war you're funding, buddy. The war my tax dollars are funding. The war my tax dollars are funding. Disgusting. Not even, he hasn't even been to East Palestine yet. Oh, I'll get over there at some point. We'll get over there at some point. So as we know, train derailment on February 3rd. Vinyl chloride that's basically poisoned the full, that whole entire state of pretty much Ohio. Oh, and they're taking dirt from that. They're bringing it over into Pennsylvania. What do you think that's going to do? They're creating dump sites because it's on the border of Pennsylvania. I mean, I'm concerned with that. I mean, what's going to happen when this gets into the groundwater, the water table? I mean, this is going to be backlash for years. This is probably a major environmental disaster that's going to take years. They'll never clean this up. They'll never get this cleaned up. And those poor people in East Palestine, they're not going to be able to get out of there. Those people aren't rich in that area. You know, those are hardworking, you know, middle-class Americans, if not probably some lower class, the lower class Americans over there. They're not going to have the funds to move out. This will never get solved. And the EPA's over there lying, telling everybody, hey, you know, the air is good, the water is good, everything is fine. You know, don't worry, you can stay in your home. Things are good. Let's take a look. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you what's going on in the environment over in East Palestine right now. Let me find the video here. This is what's going on. It's the water looks like over there. Let's see. Look at this. Look at the chemicals. Look at the chemicals.
Wow.
Look at all that.
Look at
Look at the chemicals.
It's all in the bottom of the creek bed.
You think that's going to clear out? You think they're going to get that cleaned up? That's all on the water table now. Wait till it rains. Where's all that stuff going to go?
There are literally hundreds of dead fish.
And this is 2 weeks.
Coming from the one creek that's coming from
2 weeks after the disaster.
wreckage. That fish in this one is actually probably about a foot long. So it's not just the little ones. And then you see a bunch of little ones scattered.
There's animals
around
dying.
it.
There's people's
Little beaver
livestock
runs in.
dying.
The big
People are
beaver
getting
runs
sick
through
now.
our
They're
state
reporting they're
park.
getting sick.
And
Joe
there's dead
still
fish
hasn't
everywhere.
visited.
I can't even begin to imagine the trickle effect we're going to have on the wildlife around here.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So as everything started to roll out, we had Pete Buttigieg or Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation, ignored calls to get over to East Palestine, was being demanded, and he said, hey, you know, I'm on personal time. I'm trying to balance my life and my job. So it took, you know, and by this time FEMA hadn't even been sent to East Palestine because they said they didn't qualify. So, you know, listen, I get it. It's we're getting ready to come up into election season. We know that Trump's running. So Trump took the opportunity to go over and meet with the residents of East Palestine, brought water and food, spoke with the citizens over there in that town. You know, I get it. It's a photo op, but at least he went. He was there before Pete. Oh, and by the way, after he left the next day, that's when Pete showed up.
Of East Palestine has previously said he welcomes both Trump and Biden to his community, but he's made it clear he does not want this train derailment disaster to become some sort of political circus. But it seems politics is at play a bit. Some of the people we've spoken to here say they don't think the Biden administration has done enough to help, and certain folks say they don't even want the current administration officials here because they think it's too late. Today, on the other hand, Donald Trump arrived to a crowd of people excited that he showed up to see that clean up firsthand and talk to first responders. Now, Trump's visit to East Palestine.
Now, listen, I get it. I mean, there will be people here on this channel that hate Trump. There'll be people here that come to this channel that hate Biden. The way that I look at it is, if you are a leader, let's just take the names out of it. Okay, we'll take the names and the actions, however you feel about these two, you know, people, and they're very polarized on each end. Okay, you know, I've let everybody know here. I'm pretty center right. I lean center right. Let's just say this, okay? If you are the leader of a country and you have a huge ecological disaster that happened like this, and you have a choice to go help your people here, to show up, be the hero, possibly put yourself in the position to win the next election, and immediately go to that area when it's deemed, you know, somewhat safe to go there, you know, a couple days after, whatever it was, when they had the workers down there, to go there, or to get on an overnight flight and fly to another country and hand them millions of dollars of US tax money to keep funding a foreign war. What choice are you going to take? what choice you're going to take.
Comes just a few days after FEMA offered its aid to this community, comes after they previously declined aid and said East Palestine did not meet requirements for their assistance. Today, Trump said he believes it was the announcement of his visit that changed things.
It was. They weren't doing nothing. They didn't even think about going there. And then all of a sudden, the next day after Trump was there, Pete was there. The very next day.
FEMA said, specifically, this doesn't meet the criteria, and that's horrible, and somebody has to do something for those people. I said back, when I announced that I was coming, they changed their tune. It was an amazing phenomenon.
Now, FEMA has previously said it was in contact with officials in Ohio from day one when that train derailed, even though they only offered their aid last week. Tonight, the cleanup continues, but we know that officials are still deeming the air and city water quality safe. In East Palestine, Stephen Goen, Fox 11 News.
All right. So we had that there. Trump heads off, visits us first. Then 10 days later, Pete Buttigieg decides to go in and visit the site. And was claiming that he wasn't going to go down there because he was on personal time. Let's pull up another clip. I got another Trump clip here, and then I got a couple from Buttigieg. Yeah.
I sincerely hope that when your representatives and all of the politicians get here, including Biden, they get back from touring Ukraine, that he's got some money left over, because we're now at $117 billion. And as you probably know, Europe, when you add it all up, is at about $10 billion. That's a big difference, wouldn't you say? That's one of the things that gets me, because they're at it again. They're very good negotiators, those people in Europe.
So we got that. And then the Secretary of Transportation, this is how he follows up and answers questions to reporters about why he hasn't been to East Palestine. It's the man that's in charge of this particular situation is now, this is his answers.
Jenny here at the Daily Caller News Foundation. What do you have to say to the folks in Ohio, East Palestine, who are suffering right now?
Well, I'd refer you to about a dozen interviews I've given today, and if you'd like to arrange a conversation, be sure to reach out to our press office, but I can have that conversation with you. Just walk
You don't have a message for them?
I do, and I should.
What this guy thought was, hey, I'm going to get in, I'm going to get elected, I'll sit in, I'll get on the board, I'll be Secretary of Transportation, it'll be an easy job, and then maybe in a year, 2 years, 4 years, I'm going to run for president. That's what he thought. This is what Pete thought. It was going to be the cushy, easy job. Now he's got responsibility. He has no fucking idea what he's doing.
With the press many times today, I'd refer you to those comments.
Would you mind sharing it with us?
No, I'm going to refer you to the comments that I made to the press because right now I'm taking some personal time.
He's on personal time. He don't want to answer for it. He's on. I know when I'm off from work and I have an issue because I run. I'm the boss. I'm in charge. If there's an issue, my phone's always on 24 hours a day. My phone rings, it's something from work, and it's my day off. I pick my phone up. My phone rings, it's something from work. It's an issue that cannot, be solved unless I'm there. I'm in my car and I'm driving over. And my job's not even closest, the responsibility that Pete has.
Walking down the street.
Are you going down there?
What's that?
Are you going down there at all?
Maybe. Yeah.
When are you going?
Maybe.
I'll share that when I'm ready.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I
Maybe.
get a photo?
Maybe he'll go. All right, I'm not going to play that because it's got music. Another reporter, Sev Says, love her channel. Pull that up as well. And let's see how Pete answered when he got there. Hang on 1 second. We'll pull that up.
Mayor Pete, why did it take you an entire 2.5 weeks to actually get here to respond to East Palestine? Will you apologize to the residents of this city for the slow response, to the government's slow response? Do you have any apology?
I'm a press person. I can help you.
Sure.
The woman that's going to grab him right now, that's his press corps. She answers questions for him. So basically takes questions, kind of like when Biden rolls out his press secretary and they do Karine, what's her name? Karine Jean-Pierre, Cringe. I call her Cringe. That's basically what her job is here. This is another amazing show of this administration. Watch this. This is great.
So
I don't want to be on camera. You're the assistant to the transportation secretary, and you don't want to be on cancer. You don't want to be on camera and answer questions for the American people.
Ask why it took him almost 3 weeks to get here.
I'm sorry, I don't apologize on camera.
What was his personal time off while there was a tragedy happening here?
And can we also ask you why he waited until President Donald Trump came here to actually make an appearance? This is a very important question that people across America would like to know.
I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I do not want to be on camera.
That's your job.
Well,
please put your cameras away.
And who's this guy? Yeah, who's this guy?
We're on a public area, so we are allowed as press.
Oh, well.
You guys, I would like you guys to turn your cameras off.
You're not on my camera.
Well, I'm on a camera. I would like your cameras to be off, and then I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Well, if you're the press secretary of the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, don't you think you should be able to ask questions from the American public that you serve?
Absolutely. I would like to do it without the camera on.
Can I ask?
Well, that's your job.
I think that is a little bit aggressive.
And that's how we handle things now with all of this. Everything is, if you ask questions and you want to know answers, it's always, oh, it's too aggressive. It's too aggressive. Oh, you're being aggressive. No, bullshit. You should be answering these questions. It's your fucking job to do this.
Why is it aggressive? I'm on behalf of the American people, I'm just asking why he has not been here until Donald Trump came.
She's asked several times for them to turn the cameras off, and they will not do it.
Who's this guy?
Has been able to walk away. Would you like to go inside? I do not.
Yeah. She can walk away if she wants.
This way.
She don't want to go inside because she don't want to answer any questions.
Can I do with the picture of Jenny Kerr? He took her the other day when she was asking a question in Washington, D.C.
I'm happy to answer your questions. I would like you guys to not have your cameras on.
I had my camera up a minute ago. If I turn it off,
you all have your cameras on. I can see them. You guys, I'm happy to have this conversation.
All right, y'all. So we are with the press secretary for Pete Buttigieg, and right now we are being told that we are not supposed to be filming. Again, we are here on behalf of the American public.
Shout out to Sev says, amazing stuff here. Amazing journalism. I love it.
Because we would like to have the conversation, and we would like to ask the question as to why, again, it took almost 3 weeks for Pete Buttigieg to be here on the ground. He waited until Donald Trump came.
They're running away. They are public officials. These people are in power. They answer questions. They should be answering questions for the American people, and these people are running away. This is what they're doing to you. This is what they're doing to the people in East Palestine. They're lying to all of these people down there, saying that that area is fine to be in. It's a lie. Look, they don't want to answer for anything. They're running away.
Here to actually be here and speak to residents. The people here have been quite tight-knit about when we can ask questions. And again, we're here on behalf of the American public, and we wish we could be able to ask these questions.
What do you say to residents who say you're too little too late?
I say that we're with residents right now.
Yeah, right now he is, but before that he was on personal time. I couldn't be bothered about this. I'm on personal time.
I'm going to be here before, as we were in the first hours.
Why did it take you 3 weeks then?
Can I finish my answer?
Yeah.
To the first,
well, we're saying it's too little too late because it took you 3 weeks to get here, and then you used the excuse that it was, there's 1,000 train derailments in the USA every single year. Is that okay to you as the Department
I can't tell
of
I can't tell what the question is,
Secretary?
but I'm on my way to answer a lot
The
of
question is,
questions
do you think that you've done a good job as the Secretary of the Department of Transportation?
Yes, I'm proud of what FRA and PHMSA have done here.
Can you ask Biden why he was able to go to Ukraine before visiting the people of East Palestine, please?
Right. She's right. She's right. Runaway Pete, another one. You know, they want the power and glory, but when shit goes down, they don't want to answer for it. They want to run away. And that's what the, you know, this is what these types of administrations do now. They don't want to answer anything. Just run away. You're being aggressive. You're coming at me. You're being aggressive. Listen, I know you're getting you're getting the aggressiveness of me. I'm being very aggressive towards this because I'm pissed off. But not only me, and not even people, you know, that may stand with the right, they're getting slammed by hardcore Democrats on this issue. For an instance here, the Young Turks calling out Pete Buttigieg, and these are the most leftist Democrats that you can ever listen to, and they're slamming Pete Buttigieg.
20 days after the train derailment finally visits East Palestine, okay, seemingly begrudgingly. Now, he provided an excuse for why it took him so long to visit. So why don't we take a look?
Now, again, let me just put context to this. The Young Turks are probably the most progressive leftist YouTube channel on YouTube. And they are even calling out this administration and calling out Pete Buttigieg. And she's going to sneak a little thing in there about Trump. You know, I'll give you that. But let's just say that Trump did deregulate. Okay, let's just say he did. I'll give you that. Right? Let's just say he did. But if you knew, and just like the reporter called out just before this, that 1,000 of these derailments happening a year, and you've been in that position for 2 years, why haven't you been on top of it? Why haven't you, of the transportation, the Secretary of Transportation, been on top of that to fix those issues? And like I said at the top of the show, what did old Joe say what he's going to do when he came into the administration? He put in $368 million to fix the infrastructure of the railway. That was his big push. That's what he campaigned on. He was going to fix the infrastructure of America and focus on the railway. And I'm sure that this is not a braking issue. This is a track issue. I'm telling you, the tracks are fucked up. They haven't been fixed probably in a year. They probably need to all be upgraded. Why didn't that money go towards this to fix this infrastructure? Oh, wait, it probably went over to Ukraine because we're fighting this foreign war, and my tax dollars and your tax dollars are going over and funding.
Look at that. And then I'll give you the reaction from Sonny Hostin on The View.
What I tried to do was balance two things: my desire to be involved and engaged and on the ground, which is how I am generally wired to act, and my desire to follow the norm of
your desire to take your personal time, Pete.
Transportation secretaries, allowing NTSB to really lead the initial stages of the public-facing work. I'll do some thinking about whether I got that balance right.
No, you didn't get that balance right. So that's him again passing the buck to the National Transportation Safety Board. You know, that's the norm. I thought, you know, I can just sit back and
the same thing too is they just pass the buck and say, oh, it was Trump's fault. It's always, you know, back to Trump. It's always back to the previous administration. You know, listen, my whole thing is you come into office, you take leadership, you know there's problems, that's on your watch. You need to fix those problems. If you knew that these deregulations are there, let's just say they were from the Trump administration, why are you not there fixing it? Why are you not upgrading it?
And have them take care of it. Then maybe I'll visit as long as, you know, there's enough pressure for me to do it. But if there isn't any pressure, then I'm just not really gonna, I'm just gonna hope this is gonna go away.
Yeah.
Sonny Hostin responds to that. And Cenk, why don't you take a guess? Do you think that she celebrates his excuse, or do you think she accurately criticizes him?
So this was a late breaking story. So I haven't seen the clip and I don't know what's gonna happen, okay? So, but I can predict with great certainty, and if you watch the Young Turks, you could predict it with great certainty. You're gonna know ahead of time that she's gonna, I mean, it was an absurd thing to say. By the way, he says, oh, I was just trying to follow the norms.
Right.
What is that? That's like the weakest excuse I've ever heard, right?
Now, keep in mind, I don't know if you guys watch this. This is the Young Turks. This is a very far left YouTube channel. I mean, very progressive, and they're calling out this administration.
And he's blaming the National Transportation Safety Board, as Anna explained, but he's also blaming past secretaries, and that's a coordinated talking point, because then the press secretary came out of the White House and said, oh, Elaine Chao never went, right? So they're trying to pass the buck. Now, if you're a journalist, these are easy to spot. But my guess is we ain't gonna find no journalists on television. So Sonny Hostin, being the Democrat on the panel, is going to say the Democrat is great. Let's find out.
Let's watch.
Because I don't even think they know what's in the water, what's in the soil. I think of course, the investigation is still going on, and I think that that's an important point that Secretary Buttigieg made. You know, he's not there yet. He's received a lot of criticism for it, but he said, I want them to investigate it first rather than having me walk around doing what for a photo op. And I actually appreciate that, especially because he was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, where I went to law school, small town, and he didn't do that type of photo op thing there either. He did the work.
So not showing up was the genius thing to do.
It's admirable. It's admirable.
It's really admirable. Hey, what a weird thing that they chose a partisan side and decided. Did she talk about any of the regulations that a normal Democrat used to do back in the day, FDR, LBJ, et cetera? No, of course not. Because this isn't about actually protecting Democratic voters or Democratic citizens or any citizens. It's about protecting the elite on one side. And then the elite on the other side attack them and attack one another. But at the end of the day, no one gives a damn about you. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate.
All right. I mean, that's a progressive leftist view on this issue. And I'm going to get to a Republican view really quick too. I just want to pull this up. Dorian says, I agree with your views on this. Unfortunately, these people do not check the right boxes worthy of this administration's attention. I'm going to tell you right now, if you vote in America, right or wrong, whatever party you vote for, this should be an example of why we cannot vote in this administration another 4 years, because this is the shit you're gonna get. And I'm hearing a lot of people now, oh, I voted for Joe, I wish I never did. I mean, did you not know what you were gonna getting this guy? He was gonna be a puppet for the administration. He was gonna be a puppet for the people to run him around. And, now we're so wrapped up in this war in Ukraine, there's no viable way we can pull out of this. Because if we pull out, Russia's going to smash Ukraine. They're going to take Ukraine, and China's going to move right into Taiwan and take Taiwan because they're going to have the backing with Russia, and Russia's going to own all of that area. So now the issue is this now. Whoever the next president is going to have to do one of two things. And I'm telling you, the war is not ending from now until election day. One of two things is going to happen. The next incoming president is going to, one, have to solve this issue and get this war to stop, or two, continue to fund it. And guess who's going to pay for it? We are. Our tax dollars. Inflation goes up. Food prices go up. Gas prices go up. That's going to be all on us to pay that. SC says war within. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, just take off your hat, Democrat or Republican. This is an American issue right now. This is a people issue. And those people are suffering in East Palestine. No one's doing anything. And they're being lied to. And it's all being hidden from all of us. But if you dig around, you'll find the truth. All right, let's do this. Let's pull up, before I get reactions in the area, let me pull up some, it's great. The damage report, let me pull this up and kind of give you a full update of what's going on in East Palestine, up to date right now. Hang on one second, sorry. I had these all queued up in queue. Hang on one second. Where was that tab? Oh, sorry guys. What's the title of this one? East Palestine cleanup workers. Okay. Let's give a quick update of what's going on at the present time in East Palestine. Here we go. Let's pull this up.
Update on some of what's going on in East Palestine, starting with the cleanup. This entire time, for weeks now, there have been many people who've been dispatched there to try to clean up the situation, try to set everything right. It's been destroyed by that horrific derailment. And what do you know? According to railroad union leaders, some of the workers who are participating in this cleanup are falling ill at the site of the derailment. This is according to a letter sent to government officials earlier this week, alleging that workers are getting sick with migraines and nausea and are not being provided necessary protective equipment. The American Rail System Federation claimed that Norfolk Southern has not provided personal protective equipment, including respirators, rubber overboots, and rubber gloves to workers dealing with the spilled chemicals as part of the company's cost-cutting business model. So look, it would be bad enough if it was just that they were in the area helping out with the recovery or something, and they weren't being provided with the necessary protective equipment. They are like directly interacting with the horrendous chemicals that have been spilled. And the train company, which we don't know for sure exactly how it happened, but it seems like it probably didn't help that they didn't take proper precautions, has followed up the horrendous result of that sort of policy by not taking the proper precautions when it comes to the people cleaning it up.
Yeah.
And as of right now, it's not just them. I will remind you, residents of East Palestine, the surrounding area, have been reporting headaches and nausea as
now,
well.
Again, this is Young Turks. This is a leftist, a very left-leaning progressive channel. This is a segment on their YouTube channel.
Well as diagnoses of chemical bronchitis and other health conditions. But don't worry, I keep hearing from Norfolk Southern as well as the EPA that they've done all these tests and there's nothing there. So I guess it's a collective delusion. Jordan, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I grew up about 15, 20 minutes away from East Palestine. So it's an area I know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the people there, it's really frustrating, even though they're conservative, it's frustrating to see a lot of coastal liberals and especially, the CEO, Alan Shaw of Norfolk Southern, investors, the Wall Street class, people in Washington just generally dismiss this, turn a blind eye to it. It's been a couple weeks. They got their photo ops in, they're done.
Yeah.
Why isn't Alan Shaw, the CEO of Norfolk Southern, out there cleaning up? It's his company. Why aren't the shareholders out there? They're profiting off of those workers' labor. So it's frustrating, but I guess not surprising because we are a country where there has been corporate capture over every regulating agency. Norfolk Southern lobbied hard against safety regulations, and this is the outcome. And now when people are talking about it again, they're lobbying against them again.
Yeah, you're right about
there's just too much government involved in things like this.
They're not going to develop cancer overnight. This isn't the Toxic Avenger. It takes a lot of time. Respiratory illnesses can also develop over time. But don't worry, I'm sure in 10 years when it turns out that there's like an 80% higher incidence of these things, the Republicans in Congress are definitely going to allocate funds to help them out without Jon Stewart putting pressure on them.
But your Democrats right now are funding a war. They're writing checks, buddy.
Yeah, this is horrendous. It was needless. I mean, the derailment was needless, let alone the burn, let alone all of the missteps in the response.
All right, I'm done with that. So that's even just a very left-leaning, leftist, ideology, and they're even given, pushing back against this too. So we finally had an answer from old Joe the other day when he was going to head to East Palestine. So we'll
breaking tonight, just hours ago, President Joe Biden saying he will visit East Palestine, Ohio, at some point as they continue to recover from the train derailment there. Take a listen.
I've spoken with every official.
Look at Chuck Schumer. He melts over Joe Biden. Look at him.
Ohio, Democrat and Republican on a continuous basis, as in Pennsylvania. I laid out a little bit in there what I think the answers are. We put it together.
Good Chuck
and
Schumer.
we will be implementing an awful lot to the legislation here, and I will be answering some.
This guy has no idea. So there's your quote from Prez. He might head down there at some point. I'll get there when I get there. But was very quick on that 1-year anniversary to run over to fly over to Ukraine. Got over there, secret visit, shook hands, got the photo op, wrote the check. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good over there. All right, let's get some reaction from the residents in East Palestine. Let's take a look at some video of what's going on over there. We got some residents here.
If you're planning on going solar, you're about to make the worst decision ever. Did you know that instead?
It's been 1 month since the train carrying toxic chemicals derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. And for the first time, residents were able to get their safety concerns straight to the company operating that train. For a month now, as I mentioned, residents say they have been experiencing symptoms. They worry if the train is the cause of.
They nuked that town. Literally nuked that town. Look at this.
That the chemicals that were on board those cars. And they wonder if they're going to ever be able to live in East Palestine again. Nick Smith is here with their frustration.
And Adrian, even as contentious as that meeting was last night, I'm not sure that all of their questions were answered. Norfolk Southern, one of their CEOs answering questions, as well as members from the EPA and other elected officials, but almost none of the 200 or so people who attended last night's community meeting seemed happy with what they had to offer. The biggest accusation from residents. They say they feel like Norfolk Southern is lying to them about how dangerous those chemicals are, like this woman.
This has touched me on every level. This has touched my family. This has touched my friends. This has touched my farm. This has touched my animals. This has touched my finances. This has touched my home. And it will touch me to the cellular level when I get diagnosed with cancer, ALS, or whatever is gonna come down the road if I stay in this contaminated, toxic town, and you all know it.
And you all know it. Now, the Ohio EPA and others say the testing continues to show no abnormal chemical levels that would cause health concerns. But again, residents who had a list of mysterious symptoms that they say they did not have before the derailment a month ago got things testy for Norfolk Southern's representative. He spoke out about cleaning up the spill site. That rep says Norfolk Southern is ready to clean up more of the spill site, but is waiting on EPA approval. But the company has already laid a new track and opened the line to trains.
We're ready to start tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. That is not our decision to make. We are no longer in control of the site. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to clean up the site. We're going to clean up the site.
Should have gotten it right the first time. You can hear residents are angry. You can hear residents also yelling at Wilson to buy their homes and relocate them. But Wilson says that's not on the table right now. At one point, someone in the crowd yelled, "Where's Alan?" in reference to Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw. Since the railroad company's derailment and toxic fire 1 month ago today, Shaw still has not met with or spoken to the residents of East Palestine directly.
Thank you for watching. Go to
Let's get some more reactions on the ground.
Train derailment in East Palestine. A number of developments to tell you about from today and what will be exactly 1 month tomorrow since all of this happened. Here's the latest tonight. In speaking with reporters today at the White House, President Biden said he will at some point visit that derailment location himself in the coming weeks, although he did not give us a specific date. Also, the EPA announced today they will make sure Norfolk Southern—
I guarantee you this guy will visit Ukraine again before he gets over to East Palestine. I'm telling you.
will directly take samples for dioxins around the derailment site.
Right.
And FEMA held a meeting tonight to a packed house of residents wanting to know more about the cleanup process. Meantime, environmental activist Erin Brockovich returned to East Palestine today to meet again with those concerned residents. Her words giving them hope that something will be done to protect their health. Emma Henderson reports.
This has been going on for 3 weeks since the initial crash. I think we're pushing a month now, actually, March 3rd. And yet nothing has really been done that is really giving them any kind of help.
A frustrated Erin Brockovich addressed local media today after spending time in a private meeting with East Palestine residents. It was just a part of her day that was followed by an onstage presentation with attorneys and water expert Bob Bowcock, who was skeptical of how things are being cleaned up and what entered the environment beyond vinyl chloride.
What cocktail of chemicals went into that burn pit? We know it was predominantly vinyl chloride because those were the cars that were breached. Okay. How long did it sit there? How much seeped into the groundwater table or into the Vado zone during the burn? What did they turn into when they burned? You know, what other stuff was mixed in there?
With concerns of the controlled burn come concerns about dioxins. EPA spokespeople as recently as Saturday said they would not be testing for them. But in a press release today from Governor Mike DeWine's office, that decision has been reversed. And
it's funny, there was I heard there was a guest on Glenn Beck, someone that owns a farm in that area. Actually, no, I'm sorry, not a farm. I played this on a previous show of mine. She raises Dobermans in that area and has like a huge Doberman, facility that she houses all these dogs in. And she said that a couple of days after this happened, there was someone from either the train department or some government official that was down there with paperwork and basically was having the residents look this paperwork over and sign that if anything happens in the future with their health, to their family, someone dies, it basically would be paperwork that they would not be held responsible for any of that. She basically told them to stick the paperwork up their ass. She wasn't signing it. But she said the sad thing was about 150 to 200 residents had signed that paperwork. It's crazy.
Toxins will now be monitored in the village. And the EPA will now be on alert if dangerous levels are detected.
Cranky says this.
But there have been
just the
so many
beginning.
moments where residents
Absolutely.
are unassured and then reassured. It's taken a toll, and that's why some of them turn to Brockovich and other non-governmental figures for answers.
I don't trust anybody's right now. None of us know. I've lost 15 pounds because I'm up every night worrying about my granddaughter.
People.
Like, what am I exposing them to something that's going to hurt them down the line? I'm 61. I'm not worried about myself, but I worry about them.
And that leads people to these auditoriums, looking for some type of answer, some reassurance by getting to see someone break down Norfolk Southern's past derailments and other towns who've gone through something similar.
While today was an informational session, it was also a way for people to learn their...
All right, I passed through that one there. Let's see. Let's pull up... Let's pull this up. It's from Valuetainment. I love that show. I love that. Let's pull this up.
I think it's yesterday. He pays a visit. President Biden arrives in Kiev, Ukraine, in a surprise visit to meet the president, Zelensky, and to announce additional $500 million in U.S. assistance ahead of one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of the country. The new aid package includes artillery ammunition, anti-armor systems, and air surveillance, radars, but
keep in mind, this is your tax dollars that's funding this. Your tax dollars.
Advanced weapons. Biden stated that this visit was to reaffirm our unwavering and unflagging commitment to Ukraine's democracy, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, and to share that the U.S. will announce additional sanctions against elites and companies backing Russia's war machine. Biden's visit to Ukraine comes at Russia as Russia is expected to ramp up its offensive once again, and Ukraine officials warn of massive barrage of missiles that Russia may launch on February 24th. Here's an interesting thing to be thinking about. He did this on President's Day and never visited East Palestine. Pete Buttigieg took him 10 days to even recognize the events in East Palestine. Kamala hasn't gone.
So if anybody's not familiar, Valuetainment is a very conservative-leaning YouTube channel. I wanted to give the perspective here of, how very progressive, very, very progressive political progressives were looking at this situation, and to give you a conservative outlook as well too.
They're not talking about the issues that's going on there. $100 billion given to them.
Channels.
All of this stuff going on. The other day, I did the math on how many total homeless people we have in America. Check this out.
This is crazy. This is a pretty good study.
They say they want to end homelessness. Okay. Do you know the $100 billion that we gave to Ukraine? Okay. If homelessness in America is that big of an issue, you can clean it up. There's 524 total homeless people in America.
He means 524,000, I think. So just to clear that up with everyone, not 524 people.
Roughly a third of that is in California. Okay. 524.
A third of that is in California. It's crazy.
If you took that $100 billion, each homeless person could get $170,000 if you divide it up. Now, you don't need to give it to them. If we took that money and we created a place for them to go to, live, work, shelter, different things, and cleaned up those streets, what would happen to safety in those communities? What would happen to those things? Now, I'm not somebody that's endorsing us going and spending the next $100 billion for you, because somebody's going to come down and say, well, now, would you support this now? Would you support this now? No. What I'm saying to you is the constant spending of the money that we have, what if we take that, while we have the issues here, we're going to Kiev, while people in East Palestine are wondering what's going on with their water, you're going over there. So anyway, so while that's taking place, China and Russia's getting close.
Yep.
At the same time, China's coming out and saying we're great allies. And then simultaneously, while this is going on, for the first time since the 70s, Russia started loading nuclear missiles on ships. First time since the 70s while this is going on, okay? And then Zelensky comes out and says, if China allies itself with Russia, there will be world war. And I do think that China is aware of that.
You want to know something, Pat? You guys want to know why I think all this is happening, why the border's open, why China's flying balloons, why everything's going to shit, while Russia's threatening, getting out of the START treaty and doing all that stuff is because we have right now a weak leader. And I'm going to make my point. You guys ever watch National Geographic, Tom? And you see a lion who's technically the king of the jungle, but he either gone to a fight and he's limping and you see that he's weak. You know what the jackals and the hyenas and all, they all start to look and they're like, oh shit, the king is hurt. So they start to bite at his leg, and once they realize, okay, he doesn't have anymore, everybody attacks. Right now, America is that injured lion. Russia's doing shit that they've never done since how long, Pat? China's literally flying fucking balloons over.
Is an interesting thing. Yeah, they lit a fire happen in the coal mines there, and it just never went out. So Centralia, it just can constantly burn. But I think there was some shit about that too. Some EPA shit. Yeah, that burning city, Centralia. Yeah. I think there was some backlash about that too. And believe it or not, and I think up until maybe a year or two ago, there actually were residents that were still living there. They wouldn't leave the town, but it's pretty much a burning coal fire that never went out because they had coal mines there. And there's just no way of putting out. It's incredible that it would burn for that long. I think it's been since like the 70s or something like that. And if you know anything, Silent Hill was actually based off that area. And believe it or not, I remember a couple of years back, I was visiting a friend up in upstate New York, and we actually were going to plan to take a trip and go there. But it was like 4 hours away. And we said, well, if we get down there and we can't get in, would it be worth it? But we just didn't end up going. But yeah, great point.
Over our nuclear missile bases that I was stationed in, the border's wide open. China's sending fentanyl to kill our youth and get money back from us. We are such in a weird position right now. Shit that people haven't done since the 70s. It doesn't look good. And I'm genuinely, for the first time, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if something did pop off where somebody's like, oh shit, somebody launched something that they weren't supposed to launch, and all hell breaks loose. Because no matter what you think, I know for a fact, working at a nuclear missile base, if one person launches it's over because everybody's gonna panic. Oh shit! Can you imagine that? Somebody launched a nuke. It's over.
Yeah,
it's over. And I feel like we're getting close to that point because those people with power, Putin feels like he's getting surrounded, bro, and that's not good. It's not a good
Tom.
I think Vinny's right about the vacuum of leadership, and I think we have a weak leader in America right now. And I think that we are still the greatest country in the world, and we can solve our problems. We can come together as a diverse people and get that done, but it needs strong leadership. And that leadership is not just at the top. The leadership calls on all of us to step up, starting with our schools. I feel incredibly strong about education and incredibly strong about providing safe, balanced education. And weak leadership at the top, weak leadership in the home, weak leadership at your school. You make a great point. And there's a vacuum out here that's just screaming.
Tom, let me ask a question though. Here's a question. The question.
Now, that's the thing is a lot of people blame, what goes on in the outside is what causes a lot of our problems. Everything that starts in the home, the way you're raised, the way that your parents raise you, your values, that just doesn't. You don't just walk out one day and say, I'm going to be racist, or I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. That starts at home. That's a learned, applied behavior that starts at home.
We started off with this Russia, Biden being in Ukraine, not going to East Palestine, concerns of Russia, putting their weapons on the ships, seeing the fact that China is uniting with Putin and saying, hey, we will sell you lethal weapons for the first time, not like regular weapons, lethal weapons. All of these things are, going in the direction of, could this lead to an all-out war? Are we there or are we not there yet?
Sorry about that. I was reacting. Yeah. I thought you were asking me about my response to Vinny.
I want to know this story.
To the original question, going back here, I think what is happening right now is the West, and let's call it the East, are fighting a proxy World War III in Ukraine. Yep. And you have to remember, let's take a look at the weapons that are being given. Have you noticed? But we will never give them those tanks. We'll give them some of this. We'll give them money for armaments. We'll give them money for small arms. We'll give them money for grenade launchers. Get money but we won't give them Stingers. Okay, hell, give them Stingers. If you notice that the level of weapons, and they keep making a point of it in each one.
Fair point, Dr. Bob. Very fair point. It does, because that's when, the brain really starts to develop. If I'm correct, and call me out if I'm not correct, but that's really when your brain starts to really develop and start realizing, things around you and being aware.
One of the articles is, but they're giving them lethal now, but we're not going to give them these, but we're going to give them those. It's escalating, and I feel like it's a proxy world war that's being fought in the Ukraine, as both sides are providing and to a certain degree testing weapon systems that they're giving to Ukrainians and giving to Russia. China's giving stuff to Russia, and the West is giving stuff to Ukraine. Remember, we weren't going to give them any planes at all. And then they said, Poland, give us your NATO planes, please give us the better planes that we can have. And Poland said, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I think we're fighting a proxy war, and it's going one step at a time, a group at a time, Pat, on the advanced weapons.
And Pat, where's the outrage? The president of the United States, on President's Day, mind you, flew to fucking Ukraine, gave them another $500 million. I don't think people just throw those numbers around. $500 million, okay? Friggin' East Palestine, there's a freaking, dude, fish are dying, dogs are dying, people can't drink the water. You know what America is right now? Imagine having, like, your dad's sick at the house, Pat, and he's God forbid dying of cancer.
And this is the thing, like, even if you just took politics out, and I understand this is a political issue, but just like the gentleman was saying before that, if we took the money that we gave Ukraine, we could have solved a lot of the homelessness problem in this country, probably like that. I'm sure there's a lot of things that would have to take place, and regulations, and where we're going to house people and stuff, but it probably would make a huge difference. What is it, over $100 billion right now that's been given to Ukraine? Can you imagine what that money could do for America right now, for the American people? And I don't know where the heads are of these politicians right now that are in this administration, that are running this administration. This should be something that everybody is looking at when they go to that voting box and they vote. Okay, when they go to vote, this should be the major point and the turning point as to go forward with this administration or to not go forward. This is a huge issue right now that's going on. I'm going to tell you right now, in my opinion, Biden gets in, in a year and a half from now, this war is going to keep going, and we're going to keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. Cranky says, we can't take care of our own, but we help other countries. Doesn't make sense. There are homeless working families. Absolutely. But we could solve a lot of that with that money.
You have the means to help them, but we're like, you know what? I'm going to donate to like a charity. Where's the outrage? What the fuck is, I'm sorry for my language. Yeah. What is going on? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. How much money collectively have we given to
over
Ukraine?
100 billion.
$100 billion. What?
100
that
billion.
Doesn't make. Right. Remember we had that talk, Adam, when what's her name was here. It's not gonna be a trillion. I think what was she was saying?
Yeah. She said it was 100 trillion.
Yeah. But think about this: $100 billion. And I don't give a damn. I feel bad for what's going on over there. I don't care about Ukraine. I care about us. Right. Why is putting America first such a bad thing? Why can't we come first?
In Palestine, my thought about this is, I don't understand why it's being ignored. What is on those trains, and who owns those trains that is able to drop the dime on the media and our political leaders so that everybody ignores it? That I'm actually confused. I'm not confused. I think somebody has dropped the dime and is suppressing the whole story. But how effectively did they? If it wasn't for Twitter, America wouldn't know.
And Pat, like we talked about this before I walked in here. How crazy is this, Joe? There's a documentary last year, December, called White Noise. Weird. That the movie is set in 1984. A trail derailment with toxic chemicals in East Palestine. if we're not living in the Matrix, that's a fact that happened in this movie last year in December.
Wait, this is this is what you were talking about.
This is what I told you before we walked
Zoom in
in
a
here.
little bit so we can see the story. So
This was a movie in 1984 set, and in the movie there's a train derailment in East Palestine, and it dumped chemical thing. If that is not insane, like I don't know what is. An airborne toxic event. I'm sorry. Is that what are the odds? Is that crazy?
So go back to this. So are we at a point? So Putin doesn't want NATO to keep getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
NATO keeps acting like Ukraine is part of NATO. U.S. and by the way, this is not a democratic thing. Mitch McConnell said the most important thing we can do right now is support Ukraine. So it's not like it's a Democrat.
Yeah.
McConnell is supporting this. There's a lot of people that are not supporting this. Jimmy Dore,
a long time.
they had a rally this Sunday in what do you call it?
That was Republicans and Democrats that sat on that issue, and that was during the whole Obama administration, and he could have stepped in and really fixed that. But what do? We continue to fund another war. We continue to send all that money overseas. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy, man. I don't get it. I don't understand these politicians.
DC, and there was a bunch of people there. Tulsi Gabbard's there. A bunch of how DeSantis feels about this, how Trump feels about this.
Do about another 9 minutes here, then we're going to wrap it up.
A lot of people are against
for coming over and hanging out. I know this is a little bit different on my channel, but sometimes, to me, this is a crime. This is a crime on America. This is a crime on the American people. The way that this is being handled, the way that this administration is handling this, it's a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime. And I had to cover this tonight. I feel very passionate about what's going on over there. I feel very passionate about what's not going on in East Palestine, what should be going on. And I wanted to raise some awareness to this. And, I'm going to continue to talk about this, but these are some of the things that I will get into on this channel over here if I feel like it's very relevant. And it is. We do true crime. We do, we might do some touch on some politics. I might rant a little bit like I am this evening, but I understand this is a little different for everybody here, but we have to bring attention and awareness to this stuff.
Constantly sending resources to these guys. But are we at the tipping point where all of a sudden, boom? Because the way this is going to go is the moment the first person goes, like you said earlier, it's go time.
It's a wrap.
There's no more looking back and taking your time with it.
Nope.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's why it's so scary. I think it's a word some like a distant memory for Americans currently, so they don't really understand how serious this thing is we are playing with right now. There's actual possibility of war, World War III with a nuclear power country. We are somehow think it's not possible.
Yeah, there's no one talking about this on their YouTube channels. No one that I've seen. I mean, I've seen Glenn Beck, I've seen Valuetainment, Young Turks, regular media, but there's no other channels that are talking about this. I send these streams out in the algorithm, they get nothing. I mean, look, there's only 7 people watching this evening about this, and I usually have close to 40 people watching a night.
And so let our guard down.
They care.
And also it's like our country's a mess. It's not really a strong position. Everything's working. The country's a complete mess. China is, their ambition is destroying America. North Korea's only goal is...
Shout out, by the way, this girl is gorgeous.
Destroying America. I don't know what's
whoever she is, I don't know her name.
Death upon America.
Right. Yeah, but we're on the same...
Literally, that's what they say. Death upon America.
So pretty clear.
Yeah.
Their only purpose in their life is destroying America.
Yeah.
And they are supporting Russia right now.
What'd I do?
So what are we doing?
No, thank you for
I think
watching.
that's so. I'm raising
Thank
a
you.
child. Like
It is very important.
I don't know what kind of future that he's gonna have, but I think this is where people in America, because they never experience any difficulty in life, they cannot fathom that how easily this peace can go away. And it's not even democratically it's chosen. Like who decides that we can give this much money to Ukraine? Like who decides that? Isn't this like a democracy? I don't remember voting for that bill.
Right.
Me neither.
I don't remember voting to give $100 billion over to Ukraine. Did you? I didn't. Did you guys out there? I certainly didn't. She's right.
It's like I thought this was democracy. Who chose that it was okay to send that much money?
Well, there's, if I may, by the way, we're about to reach the 1-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. So that's
What?
I think
Because
part
I
of the
was
reason. That's the
That's
reason
fast.
that he went over there on President's Day or President's Day weekend. There
The
is
big guy.
symbolism
The
in
big
that.
guy went over there.
I think regarding the amount of money that's being spent, that's an entirely okay conversation to have. Congress has approved this budget. It's foreign affairs. It's part of the entire budget. You know, as you know, Tom, the majority of our GDP of our budget goes to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That's where the vast majority goes. And then beyond that, it goes to our defense. And then beyond that, what Pat touched on the other day was the freaking interest we have to pay on the amount of debt that we have. So I think it is incumbent on cities, first and foremost, Chicago, LA, New York, to clean up their own mess. Okay, it's not the federal government's job to clean up homelessness. I actually don't think that homelessness is something that we can fix. I think there's always going to be people who are fucked up, and there's always going to be homelessness in every country, regardless. But back to Ukraine, I think two things can be true at once. I think, I stand steadfast with this. Charlie Kirk said it the other day. It is just entirely immoral, not the right thing to do for a country to invade a sovereign country and invade their sovereignty. You just can't do that. That's just not anything that we stand for in America. We believe in democracy, believe in borders. We don't play that game. And that's part of the reason that we're backing Ukraine. At the same time, we can question, dude, how much freaking money are we spending over here? How much longer are we going to do this? If we learned anything in Afghanistan, it's like, we don't want to be in fucking wars that just never end.
Right.
How long is this going to go? And if it's the
long
quote unquote technical 1-year anniversary of the invasion, but they've been doing this thing since 2014 in Crimea. So this is an ongoing thing. Is this going to turn into another Afghanistan? I hope not. And then just breaking news right now is on Wall Street Journal. Chairman Xi of China is planning to visit Moscow today or this week. And this is right after Putin, who has now officially suspended the nuclear arms treaty with the United States of America. So these are real life things. Tom touched on this proxy war. This is escalating to a point where we in America, for the first few months, Ukraine, support Ukraine. Nobody gives a shit about Ukraine anymore. Like, just live your life. At this point, the war's escalating. People are dying. I think we got a couple 100,000 people have died.
I think more people have died already in Ukraine than there were total people dying in Vietnam. And I think that might be a fact. How many people have died in the Ukraine war? Let's see. They're estimating, let's see, over a number of estimated deaths the world of it was 14, which is 14,200 to 14,400. This includes about 6,000 pro-Russian, let's see, war casualties. Let's see, 13,000. How many people died in Vietnam? I might be wrong on this. 58,000. I was wrong. I thought I was wrong. I thought I heard a statistic like that. I was dead wrong.
There's something called diplomacy. We need to figure out who in America is going to be the diplomat to basically provide diplomacy so we can end this freaking war. Nobody wants it.
It's not, great points. I mean, I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. She's going to go visit Russia, and she's probably going to bring the spy balloon info and tell them all the shit that I'm being serious. Show them everything, and then Adam, Pat, you know what the START treaty that he's saying he's not going to go in? I think it's 1,550 between us and Russia we can have, or it might be individual ICBMs that have the re-entry system.
Scary.
You know what I mean? That can actually come in and land and hit where they want. He's backing out of that. So basically that's Russia saying we could put these systems on whatever the hell we want because, bro, Russia is I think we're 1 and Russia's number 2, right, Pat? For nuclear arsenal and threat. For them to say, listen, we're backing out of this because we want to be able to put more, not just the warheads, the re-entry system, which tells it where it could sit and where it could land. And that's, dude, I'm telling you right now, that is not a good team to be teaming up as those two, bro. I'm telling you, it's not going to be good.
Oh my God.
Pat, well, one final point. We have the luxury in America to sit here on the other side of the world and genuinely rest easy at night. If you're in Europe, because one thing I'll
Europe's
continue to
gonna go
remind you
first.
is the entire EU
Anything happens.
supports this war.
Right.
I know.
The entire EU.
It's crazy.
So if you're Germany, if you're Poland, if you're on that NATO border, you're the ones who literally would be facing nuclear
100%
death. Okay. So if they're still behind this, as America, are we taking their cues from them, or are they taking our cues from us? Or is it a symbiotic relationship? I don't know. But if they're resting easy at night, I think we can too.
I mean, I don't know.
But what do we want out of this war? Like, what do we want? Do we want the Putin to die? Like, we want to destroy
Very
Russia?
good question.
Like, what is our goal of keep going this path?
I think you nailed it on the head, Yeonmi. What is the goal?
Yeah.
We've set the precedent. Hey, we don't stand for this. We've entered this war. I think you're absolutely.
We make a statement.
Yeah. What's the point now?
Yeah.
And I think we need to read into basically what Biden is saying is that he's reaffirming our relationship with Ukraine, and we're not stopping. And I would like to know what the ideal outcome is
what's the
for doing all this.
end game?
What else would it be?
But maybe Pat, they have a shitload of dirt on his ass because we already know. I'm just saying. Hold on. I'm just weighing. I'm giving you a bunch of options, and you know what Zelensky's saying? Hey, bro, we got all that shit on the laptop. We got all of it.
Yeah.
Just keep giving us. Keep giving us. I'm just saying, could that be a little bit of a?
Again, it's not Biden's war. Congress has approved it.
Yeah, but hold on. But Biden, hold on. Biden basically gave Russia remember when he said, you guys could do a little minor incursion. It won't really. Biden gave them the okay to just come on in, bro. Biden from the beginning was like, come on in. That's on record. Biden gave to Russia. He said, yeah, we won't get that mad if they do a minor incursion in Ukraine. He said that shit live. He basically gave them the green light to come in.
What's your point?
My point is Biden is compromised. So for somebody to be giving a country that much freaking money, just open wallet all the time and going to visit and kiss this guy's ass, there has to be other elements involved. I'm saying it's not just
It's funny that he's talking about this because we were actually talking at work this evening about this, and it was like, what is the whole end game? What is the angle in all of this? And we can't figure it out either. And I mean, it kind of brings up a good, I guess, a good point. Maybe this is, there's some shit that they have on him, with the whole Hunter Biden, Russia thing. And I don't know. I can't figure out the angle.
But you made a great point. Why? Can somebody answer me why?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what you're going to see in Russia will be held accountable if it invades. And it depends on what it does. If it's one thing like a minor incursion and then we end up having to fight about it, what to do and not do. Like, dude, that's giving somebody a green light. Go. You could drop a couple bombs. Just don't really go to war. So how do you say that?
Good point you're making there, Vinny.
Thanks.
Listen, we're gonna learn what's gonna happen with this. With the $100 billion, the point wasn't to fix homelessness. That's a mindset issue that we're having. There's a reason why it keeps happening in LA. To me, that's policies is the real issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's the example to say, Democrats, if you claim you care about homeless people as much as you do, this is what you could have done with the money given to Ukraine. Your cause, your need, your money could have helped America, but it went elsewhere. That was the point with the homeless stuff that we're talking about. So if you like,
so that's a great little segment from Valuetainment, and it just gives you, some, major things that are going on right now in the United States and what's going on over in Ukraine, and just give you kind of a scope of a Republican view on it. And like I said earlier, played a very leftist progressive ideology on what's going on in East Palestine. And it looks like a lot of both the parties here are kind of lining up and saying the same thing. Chris Pepper's in the house. How you doing, Chris? Let's do this, Chris. You're a nice guy. You're always here. We're gonna do this. Ready? Bada bing, bada boom. Chris is now a moderator. He has a wrench. Welcome to the group, Chris. I really do appreciate that. Let me bring this chat up real quick. Dr. Bob says the goal is to prevent Russia from invading Poland and starting a war with NATO. Absolutely, because if Russia sneaks into Poland, everything is going to fall. Everything is going to fall. But the problem is that when does it stop? How does it stop? We're deep, and this war is not going to end anytime soon. But now what's happening is it's happening on the price of our dime here in this country. So it's really, we're going to start feeling the impacts of this soon. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. No, thank you, man. You're a staunch supporter of the channel. I appreciate that. But listen, I wanted to pop in, do a little bit of a different show this evening. Oh, let's get to the poll real quick. And we'll end that poll at 8 votes. I asked the question, are you happy with the way the administration is handling things in East Palestine, Ohio? 100% of you, 8, voted no. So the audience has spoken on the channel. I want to leave you guys with this really quick. I'm going to play a quick segment from this video from Peter Santinello. And he's what he's doing on his channel. I really admire what he does. He goes out and interviews people around America and gets in with culture and gets in and just meets with different people from, organizations or cultures and doesn't inject any type of politics in it. He just basically lets the people speak. And what I want to do is just really quick. I want to play this segment from the sheriff, and I'm going to drop the link because we don't hear enough about what's going on the border. This is what's going on at the border right now. And this is a big issue. A lot of drugs are coming over through the border. A lot of people that we don't know are coming through the border. But I want to play a quick segment of this and end the show. If you guys want to check out, I dropped the link if you want to watch the whole hour video. And his channel is amazing. I just love all the interviews he did. He did one a couple of weeks ago where he went into Brooklyn, New York, and met with a bunch of Hasidic Jews and taught us about that culture there. He met with a lot of Mexican Americans out in California and talked about the Chicano culture and the Spanish culture out in California. And I just love learning about stuff like that. But go over and check out his channel, and he's very neutral in his political stance and just lets the people that he's interviewing speak. So let's play this really quick.
So to give you an idea of the monstrosity that we were dealing with here, this was all covered in trash. Some NGOs have come in and cleaned this up. But what I would find down here.
So real quick, and I just want to give some context. This is the sheriff of Yuma, Arizona. And the thing that's really crazy about this is a sheriff has kind of free reign to speak about whatever he wants, because all he basically has to answer to is the people of, the people of that area. On the flip side, they have federal border agents that are there. And the dynamic is crazy because Peter will ask them a question. Fed agents don't say nothing. They go, I can't say anything, but you can ask him. And they point to the sheriff.
Is all these identification cards and passports.
Mm-hmm.
I picked all these up myself.
Just in the dirt out here?
Just on the ground. And we might find some again today. But see, these are individuals that have fled countries of violence, then gone to another country, been allowed to stay there. That's what a lot of these green ones are. They've been allowed to reside in those countries and work and live. But that's not what their original intent was. Their original intent was to get through that country to get to the United States. So they discard their passports, their ID cards, and they portray themselves as somebody different from their original country of violence. So it's a game. So we share all this with HSI. So every one of these have been shared with our federal government. But this is just a small snapshot of what I've picked up down here as far as passports.
If you're from Venezuela, right? Let me try to walk through this, right? You come up through Mexico, right? You want to discard your passport before you come over?
Yeah, because everything's given to you here.
Okay, what happens if you come over with your passport? They're going to say
they send you back.
Well, for some now, they're allowed to stay.
Some are allowed to stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those individuals have already reestablished residency somewhere else.
So maybe it's a Venezuelan that lived in Mexico for 5 years.
Or a year.
Or a year, okay.
And their ultimate goal was to get here.
Right. I read a lot of the Haitians that came in, say this last summer, or whenever that was in the last year.
Yeah.
A lot of them had lived in Chile or other places, not even Haiti.
Oh, yeah.
And they recently came up, but they haven't even been.
So essentially right here, if you look to the right, kind of they call that the these
been in Haiti for a long time.
Or World War II barriers. They call them Normandy barriers. That's literally the border of Mexico. It's right there. So if they were to walk on the left side of that, they literally would be in Mexico.
Okay, so here's where
the border right there. That's
it
where the
ends.
border is.
So here's where the fencing ends, and this is the tribal land, as you can see. So you have the Kokopah tribal land, which is sacred, sovereign land. You get some
I'm sorry. So right kind of in between that is Native American land, and then right on the other side of that, it's you have neutral land, and then right on the other side of that, where that 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 kind of berm structure is the border.
border challenge coins. Look right here.
This
See
is
what I was
crazy.
telling you
Look
about?
at all
They
this
toss
money.
their money. So
He dumped
this
their
is
money
all
in it.
money. They know when they
Yeah.
get here, they're going to be able to.
Here's a euro.
Yeah. So
look at that.
Go ahead and pick them up.
We have a euro.
Don't throw it back down. Keep it.
What is that?
I'll put it in my
So that's a
package.
peso. You're a coin collector.
My video's lagging up here. Hang on a second.
At your nose, Sheriff.
Well, I use it for display purposes. So
What coins have you seen?
Sorry,
Like, what are the most far out there
video's lagging,
coins?
guys. I don't know what's going on. There we go.
I'm waiting to find something from Russia.
We're looking
So-
for Russian rubles out here
But
on the
see,
border.
anybody I bring down here, well, you missed a bunch. But you see right here, they tear up their IDs. They're still doing it.
Okay.
They'll tear up their
Let me bring this
identification card because they don't want.
Looking for Russian rubles out here
But
on the
see,
border.
The video.
anybody I bring down here,
I'm
well, you
not-
missed a bunch.
Long. I see it kind of lag.
But you see right here,
guys.
they tear up their IDs. They're still doing it.
Okay.
They'll tear up their identification card because they don't want to get caught.
Chile.
There's some more right there.
It's crazy.
You're missing on a lot of money.
More euros.
Look at all they dump their pockets before they.
This is crazy.
When I bring
What,
people,
what a wild, I mean, you're used to it, but what a wild part of the world. We're right here,
Yeah.
Yuma County. Then the natives control this land.
right?
We have euros in the dirt.
Yeah.
And
And we're
Russians and 140 nationalities getting through here some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah.
All right, I wanted to just share a little bit of that. I dropped the link in there. My video is kind of lagging right now. My internet connection might be poor, and I don't want to kill the show with that. But if you want to check out that video or just check out Pete's channel, it's an amazing channel. It has tons of culture and just issues and things that are going on in America. He's met with gang members and showed kind of the life that they go through, and it's a really interesting channel, and I love that he plays it very neutral and doesn't inject any type of politics into it. He just lets the people speak, and that's that's what we need to do here in America. We need to let people speak, and we need to listen and solve these problems instead of fighting with each other. I think that a lot of people, when they put all their differences aside and they look at people just as people, you find out black, white, Asian, whatever color and race you are, we all have very much things in common. We all have problems. We all have love in our hearts. We all bleed red. And, if we can just get together and speak a little bit more instead of yelling at each other, we can solve a lot of these issues and collectively come together. I think we live in a society with a lot of people that live, I call it the mason jar effect on their head, where they wear a glass jar on their head and they're just literally just yelling, and that voice is constantly being bounced off, and you're really not listening to people. We need to do that a little bit more, and we need to stop this crap with funding foreign wars and invest here in America, invest that money back, help people here in America, and do good things over here. So that will be my parting words for this evening. Let's Dr. Bob says, Dr. Bob, maybe we should get Joe Rogan's opinion on this. Yeah, I like Joe. Joe's good. I like his channel. He's a little wacky sometimes, but I enjoy him. But that's going to be my parting words tonight. I'm very passionate about what's going on in East Palestine. I wanted to bring up some issues of, what's going on in our border as well too. And I think that's something that we need to see, because we're not seeing it. And it's very interesting how he said that area was covered with all trash and IDs, and they had a cleaning crew come in there before the politicians came down for their photo ops to make it look like there's not an issue at the border. And there's a huge issue at the border. And listen, I am all about someone coming to this country and being productive and being a member of our society, and paying their taxes, raising their family, doing something productive and bringing it here. But I want them to do it the right way. That's the fair way, because there are people that have been waiting years in line that have spent probably thousands of dollars to do all their documentation to come here and be productive, be with their families, and you're cutting those people out, ahead of those people, and you're bogging up the system. Believe me, we need immigration reform. We need to fix the system. Will it ever get done? Probably not. Will healthcare ever be fixed? Probably not. These are all of the issues that we constantly deal with in this country, and it gets tiring. But one thing that we have to do here is help our people first. We cannot fund foreign wars. We can't afford it, and it's just only going to cost us. I didn't vote on it. You didn't vote on it. And, use this as an example or an idea when you go into our next election cycle. Whoever you vote for, Democrat or Republican, this administration is not going to get it done. Clearly, I mean, they are failing, and we do need real change in this country. So again, a very different show this evening for me, a very different show for the audience. I hope you got some value out of this. I will do shows like this every once in a while. I think you kind of politically know where I stand. So I may lose some subscribers, but I may gain some as well too. And respectfully, I have this platform for anybody to voice their opinion, because my platform is always open and honest, and that's what I want to do here. But I'm going to end the show this evening. It's getting about 10:30 here on the East Coast on Friday. I hope everybody where you all are this weekend have a fantastic weekend. I will be back on Sunday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have another show that we'll be doing there, and then we'll roll into our Wednesday show. Oh, really quick, I'm trying to work with the Drunk Turkeys to get them over on the show. I'm just waiting for Daniel to return my email. Probably going to shoot him another one tomorrow, and hopefully that show is going to be on this upcoming Wednesday. But my friends, my wrenches, my moderators, the people that tune in religiously, I love all of you. If you're a new face over here, and I saw some new chat this evening, thank you so much for joining. And we'll be back here Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you all then. Have a great night.